Hi.
Can you see Jada? Because I can't.
No, I can't see Jada. Hi.
Can you see Jada? Because I can't.
No, I can't see Jada.
Oh gosh. Hmm.
See. Can't share. Mm. Okay.
Jada, can you hear me?
Well, we're ready. I'll just pull up the questions and put it
Okay.
on the group chat.
Yes, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Is your baby okay?
Yeah, he just got a fever.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's okay. Hopefully he'll be a bit better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm, da, 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 da.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
No.
Yes. Okay. Wait, can you see me?
No.
Okay, as always.
Hi.
That's
Hey,
okay.
Johnson.
Hey. Okay, we figured it out.
There we go. We can see and hear you.
Yay.
Yay.
Perfecto. I guess let's get started.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check the time real quick. Okay, 7:42. So the first question is. Oh goodness.
What's happening?
Okay, the first question is why did the author choose to incorporate Hawaiian legend or tradition into his story? And my answer to that is he chose to add the Hawaiian legend and stuff to make it more relevant to him, I think, especially because he's writing about part of his culture and about a culture that we don't hear a lot about. So it keeps it interesting. But it also the background of it like makes it seem like more like a timeless story instead of just something that's happening right now, but it's part of a long continual type of thing. So that's why I think he added that.
I'll go next. I think that he like kind of the same thing as you said. And I think it also like so I'm married to a Hawaiian and I'm also a Hawaiian studies minor. And so like it's actually kind of like common in like Hawaiian culture to like reference kind of like the past and like still have that as like part of it. So I thought that was like I like the fact that he like made it so true to how it really is, because they really do like they like reference certain like Hawaiian words a lot, or like they will like reference different like mythology and stuff, like they'll be like, oh, tutu pele this and that. um so I thought it was cool because it kind of shows like how like even Hawaiian legend and tradition, like it like might to us sound like very like old, like to them it's still a huge part of their culture. So yeah.
My turn. I said that I thought he picked it because of the Hawaiian values. I feel like they go a lot deeper than like regular American values, or maybe no, I won't say Asian. Oh wait. But I thought like his tie to like his ohana. We grew up learning about Lilo and Stitch and how ohana means everything. So like with Ikao thinking about his grandma and like where he came from and what his name means the entire book, like I felt like it meant more. And then also I don't know how to pronounce this word, but it's like kuleana. It means like his responsibility. And I thought like it played a lot when he was going around and like feeding the other homeless, even though he didn't have to. So like there's a lot of specific Hawaiian values that just are so deep rooted, and I feel like they go straight into the character. So yeah, that's why I thought he picked it.
Nice.
Oh, so I think I don't know. You can see it from the book. The main character. What is his name? How to say it?
Ikao or
Yeah,
something?
Ikao. Yeah, Ikao. He's so loving. He like to share, even he doesn't have a lot of things. He's a homeless, but I feel like this is one of the Hawaiian spirit. They are so loving, and even I read the book, I can feel the love of the Hawaiian. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay. So next question is, in what ways does Pio okay make Hawaiian tradition relevant for contemporary readers? So I think the way he does it is, I like how he focused on dreams. We all have dreams, and we all have things that like are give us purpose that aren't normally like understandable but like logical, like in dreams sometimes we feel like, okay, I feel like that meant something because I remember that for a long time, or I think that's something that we all share. And I also like how it showed how Ikao was in a like modern day and everything, and he's thinking back to the spirits, and they guide him even in this modern day to make modern decisions, like to call this certain person or to go to this certain thing. So it's not like he had to go on this great quest to find this ancient relic or anything like that. It was him going through a journey that helped him heal, and like we all have things that we need to heal from as well. So I thought that it was like a relevant journey.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also like kind of like going back to what Jada had said about like he had this like kuleana to like still like help others, like even though, when you're homeless, like you should just kind of be worried about yourself. Like I think the author pulled like a lot like from like traditional Hawaiian values and like showed how like they still are kind of an everyday value. And
Oh
so
my.
like another one is like that I'll talk about later. And the next question was like when like he always has like respect for his elders and stuff, which is also like a huge thing. That's like a big thing in like a lot of cultures, but like especially for like, yeah, but like for Hawaiians, like that's like a huge thing. Like you look to like your kupuna and like, you know, whatever they say, that's kind of like the final say. So I feel like he made it relevant because he showed how like this young boy who doesn't even have any family right now that's like telling him what to do is still like the roots of like those traditions are still so firmly embedded in him that he makes them like everyday practice.
It's pretty good.
Okay, same thing I had. The only thing that's different is that I don't know why, but I mentioned pigeon for some reason. And I tried to make the connection that like even though it's used back in the day, people still speak it now. And I tried connecting that to like people nowadays, like they still love speaking their pidgin, they love their values, they love their traditions. And I feel like a lot of them can connect to Ikao because he wasn't necessarily like on this huge journey like how Cinder was, or I'm just like going back to the other book. He was on like this personal journey, finding out who he after like he went through a bunch of like personal crises. And I feel that like a lot of people in Hawaii, they might like have some sense or like some related sense of homelessness because like money is so the cost of living so high here, and I feel like a lot of people just move houses all the time. Like a lot of my aunties and uncles that work at the school, they've moved to like 3 different houses since they've been teaching at the school. So I bet that's really kind of scary, and I know that a lot of people can relate to him, not like completely like living in parks, but they can kind of understand that like not having a home and trying to figure out where you're supposed to be.
So for Ikao, I think he finally understands his name. What's the meaning of his name, right? So it's kind of related to my culture. Each of my name, each character has a meaning, and it's kind of also it's my parents hope what I'm gonna do in the future in my name, so they put it in my name. And he can always remember his grandmother. So we all kind of love our grandmother, right? So it's related to all of us.
It's good.
Yeah.
Sorry if I keep looking away. There's just this ginormous fly that's like right across from me. It's like literally this big.
That's so cute.
Anyways, okay. So the question is, how does race affect the relationship of characters in the novel, and gender and class? And it said give specific examples, including page numbers. So, I think race does have a good amount to do with the characters. A lot of the times, the Hawaiian characters were very kind to Ikao, and um, yeah, so they were usually pretty chill with him. But I remember that like the higher class white characters, they kind of looked down on him a little bit. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So let me pull up my notes. Okay. So, and especially I noticed that females as well, they were more likely to be kind to him than to be like mean to him. So, for example, it's turning around, he saw a tall Caucasian man with a protruding belly, glasses sitting on the tip of his nose, and that was page 54, I think. And that was the white man that was the store owner that said, "Don't let that type of rubbish get into our house, or not our store." Yeah, so that was interesting. And then another quote was, "Just then, another woman's voice from behind the counter said in a strong Samoan accent, 'Excuse me, sir, please don't leave.'" Page 40. And so yeah, that was an example of like somebody of Polynesian descent, especially a female that was went out of her way to be kind to him and to give him food. So yeah, those were my two quotes. And I also noticed that lower classes were usually very friendly and kind. So the homeless people were caring towards him, And the college students, all of them were very friendly, and they didn't bother him at all. And also the elderly woman that didn't have much, but she had a house. She wasn't rich, but she was very kind to him and loving. And the richer tourists were the most likely to like turn up their nose against him and not care about him. So yeah.
Yeah, I I agree. Like especially with the gender thing, that was something I noticed too. Because it was like the Samoan lady, the Asian chick on the bus that like was a student at UH and paid for his way and stuff, or like even the lady at the that was like giving out free samples. Like when the store owner was trying to like get rid of him, she was like, "Oh, he was just looking at the shirt and stuff." Um, and kind of like similarly with like race, I kind of noticed like especially I think I didn't really like this didn't click in my mind until like probably near the end, but like a lot of the other homeless people in the park were like Hawaiian, so like the character Hawaiian, but like also they were like, oh, this Hawaiian couple or like this like local person.
Mhm.
Um, so I thought that was interesting too, because then it like they were already connected by being like homeless and living in that park, but it was like another connection that kind of like made them more like a family. But then the one that I have an example for was class, and so uh, let me find it. Um, it's when he's like, it's in the beginning of the book, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go try to say hi to people. And so it says, up ahead, a woman ran while pushing her baby stroller. Hi, he said to her, but she jogged on as if she hadn't heard. More joggers passed. All ignored the boy's greetings as if he had had the plague. Some even snickered and whispered to each other. So that was like an example of like, you know, these people seeing themselves as like kind of like higher than him just because they're like, oh, this like homeless guy is saying hi to me. I won't even say hi back to him, you know. Whereas if they had seen him as like a normal person that was like clean and like, just also jogging at the park or something, then maybe they would have said hi. So yeah.
Awesome. I think my quote's from right after your example. It's the one that says, people oogled his nappy hair and judged him by the images drawn on his jacket. So people just take one look and they just think that they're better. And they think this little boy has like rabies or whatever, even though it didn't say that. That's how they acted. And the second one that I picked out was the one with the Japanese tourist, and it's I have the Kindle version, so it's on location 179.
Yeah.
It says that more people were walking toward him, a bunch of Japanese tourists. He smiled and waved, and they looked at him in great fright. Aloha, he said. Most stared blankly or swerved to avoid touching, smiling, or even making eye contact. So, like you guys were saying, people are acting like he has the plague just because they're from like different places, different class, different race. They just don't understand what they see, so they just completely avoid thinking that it's human.
Okay, my quote is from page 26. His warm tongue and genuine honesty made the boy feel comfortable, even though he was an ex-convict. So I think the whole segment, this book and the last book we read a lot of different classes, and I feel like the, the class kind of low classes people kind of be, I think, is more humble than the rich people because they're more down to earth, I guess. People can relate it to. So that's it.
That's good. Okay. So it says, when do two or more of the above factors come together to influence the way a character is treated or interacts with the world? And let me see my note real quick. Yeah, I had a similar quote to Jada, and it says, "More people came towards him, a bunch of Japanese tourists. He smiled and waved at them as well. They looked at him with great fright." Page 12, sorry. And so I think that was a combination, because usually the Japanese tourists that come are higher class because they can afford to come all the way to Hawaii. And so they're higher class and they're from a different, they're not Hawaiian. So they can see him as very foreign, as somebody that's like not something that they see every day, because he's lower class Hawaiian and he's homeless and young. So I think that's when a few things mixed together. And also like the woman that worked at the McDonald's store, she was providing for her family just by working at McDonald's. So you know that she's more poor, and she was female, and she was also Samoan, and she saw him and she cared about him. She also cared about Hawaiian, and she went out of their way to help her, her friends. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good example. I didn't even think about that. Also, I didn't read the page number on my last one. Page 13, in case you guys were wondering. So one that like stuck out to me, that kind of had to do with like both like the relationship between people like on or about like class systems, but also about like Hawaiian tradition and like keeping it relevant. Was the old man that like was always digging through the trash and like would never respond to Ikao, but Ikao like would always help him. And then in the end, the old man ended up being the one that like pinned down the gang member. But so my example is on page 85, and it says, he saw the grizzled man digging in the garbage again. "Want some cookies?" he called. The man ignored him and continued to dig. The boy walked closer. "Hello," he said. "Do you want some fruits?" The boy knew the old man wouldn't talk to anybody, but he still tried to treat him with respect. Maybe someday the man would respond. As usual, there was no reply, so the boy left one banana and 3 oatmeal cookies wrapped in napkins on the bench. So I thought that was kind of like, it kind of included like both things, because like it's him providing for someone that's like kind of in the same class as him. Like, he knows where the old man is kind of at, where he's like, "Hey, you're looking for food. Like, I just came across food, so like let me share it with you." And it's kind of that bond because they're both homeless. But it also kind of keeps those like Hawaiian traditions of like respecting your elders, alive. Because he could have been like, "Old man, why aren't you listening to me? Like, why don't you respond? I'm trying to give you food." But instead, he just like leaves the food, and he's like, maybe someday he'll respond. Like, just gotta kind of have respect for him, and like, even though the old man like wouldn't give him the time of day, he's like still trying to help him. Yeah.
Nice. Wow, you guys have really good answers. Please don't judge this, because I actually had no idea what I was asking for.
Okay.
I just brought up the same McDonald's example, but I was comparing the Filipino woman to the Polynesian manager. I was saying how the Filipino woman, like, okay, like they're all low class, right? Working at McDonald's, it's not Nordstrom's or anything. And I was saying how the Filipino manager, she was just like super rude, looking down on him, like, "Oh, you don't have extra cents, even though I have like the tip jar right here. Like, no, you don't have enough for it." So she was super like, by the law, like you're trash and all that stuff. Nothing Filipinos, of course. And then the Polynesian manager, like, the poly roots, the love of always giving. So she came over and she saw like, "Oh, he's holding Hawaiian's book. I'm hook you up." So she gave him like all those burgers and all that stuff. So that's what I thought it meant. I thought it was comparing like those two different point of views. Yeah.
No, I
Oh,
still
that's
think
good.
that like applies
Yeah.
though. I just like never would have thought of that. But that
Oh,
is
these are the
definitely true.
best. Thank you.
I think one of the factor is Ikai's grandmother. That's why Ikai is so he always memorize like remember his grandmother, right? And that's why he show a lot of respect to the old people.
Mhm.
And the other factor is after he saw the Hawaiian or he got beat up by the gang, and actually there's a quote wait for me. He was like, oh, he was frustrated and confused that why is it that bad things always happen to good people? How could there be so much evil in the world? Life just didn't make sense anymore. Inside he feels stuff and empty because he's a really good kid, good guy. But he feel like it's not fair that good people never ever treat right. I think this
Mhm.
affected him as well. It's in page 31.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was pretty good too. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the guy with the stuff on his feet, close to the end of the story, because Hawaiian, or not Hawaiian, Ikao, he remembered his grandmother, and he was when he saw the old man that with the rotting feet, and he was like, okay, I need to go and help him. And just because he remembered his grandmother, and he felt kind of like he needed to make sure that what happened to his grandmother didn't happen to somebody else. So I thought that was interesting. So, what messages does the novel send about a particular theme? So, I thought one overall theme in the story was grief, because Ikao had a lot of stuff that he was dealing with. He was grieving the loss of his grandmother, and then he was grieving the loss of his good friend Hawaiian as well. And throughout the story, it talks about healing, and it talks about understanding why bad things happen. And when he started to understand his heritage himself, and kind of like why bad things happen to good people, he was able to let go of the pain and start to like heal. So that's kind of one theme that I saw. It's just getting through grief. And my thesis statement was a major theme in the book written in the sky was grief. Ikao goes on a journey to heal from the death of his grandmother and the grief of losing his good friend. As he shows kindness to others and follows the guidance of the spirits of his loved ones, he begins to heal from the past and understand that life is unfair, but all that happens made him a better person.
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah, that is. Again, these are like things that I really didn't think of, and I'm glad that I have my eyes opened by you guys. Because something that came to mind for me, like I said, like I take like Hawaiian studies classes, and a big thing that they like push in those classes, like to understand, especially from people that like aren't from Hawaii, and like our only view of Hawaii is like, oh, Lilo and Stitch, right? Like aloha. Is like what aloha really means, and like the spirit of aloha, and that's supposed to be like kind of like what Ikao like what he like personifies. Like he always shares everything that he has. Did we just lose Johnson?
I think we just, yeah.
Do I keep going
Yeah.
or
Yeah, he'll be back.
okay. I was like, okay. Like some of the things that like he like personifies is like always kind of showing like kindness for others, and um kind of just like that overarching, like it doesn't matter like who they are, like what circumstance they're in, like him just like trying to say hi to everyone at the park, just kind of like sharing that love, because that's the other thing, like aloha stands for like a lot of different things. So my thesis was using similes, personification, and illusion. Kaipio shows that the spirit of aloha is a universal language throughout humanity. Yeah.
Man, mine's trash. I'm not even gonna explain it. I'm just gonna read it and we're gonna ignore what I said. Okay, so Matthew Capillo's novel, Written in the Sky, uses imagery and foreshadowing to show the effects of homelessness on young adults trying to find a sense of belonging and identity.
That's not trash.
That's trash. I don't know how to write an analysis paper on that.
Well, you got 2 more things than I did from it. So
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about, like, I felt like the whole time I was reading it, it was just like him seeing all these miracles because he was so good. So like he would be good, he would get fed, and then he would go share that, and then he would keep getting fed. It was like this cycle of good, like
Yeah.
get love, give love. You know, that
Mhm.
I didn't know how to put that in a thesis, so
that's good.
go Johnson. Oh, by the way, welcome back.
Okay,
Yeah.
mine is from Ikai. The writer want us to remember, to understand the importance of caring and empathy. Empathy, because well, we all know that Ikai is a homeless boy, but he also care about the people around him. He's not selfish. He share the food that he got, and he care about people. This is a good message from the book.
Yes. Okie doke. Yeah, I think we filled up the whole time, which is great. I just have one question for y'all before we go. So for the final project, we have to write I think it's 8-page paper, right?
Yeah.
And we can choose to do that individually or in a group. Do you guys want to do it in a group or individual? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I follow you guys.
Yeah, 'cause that way it's like 2 pages each.
Yeah, yeah. I was really hoping we'd go that way.
Yeah. No, you know what? I just love writing huge papers by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so that's all we needed to know, and we don't have to work on that for a little while longer, but that
Also,
sounds good.
who's gonna do the
I can do it. I can do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
In the
you.
in the group chat, we will send you our thesis statement and our
Yeah.
quotes.
Yeah,
Johnson,
please.
you are the best. I really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who hasn't write it yet, right? So
Yeah. No, I still have to write it too, but you
Okay.
already volunteered, so
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
you're like, now
I
I'm
like
wrapping
this
up.
book.
Okay, cute.
Okay, see ya.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay.
can you
Thanks,
send me the
guys.
link as well, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.